Hey, boys and girls. It is the weather report for the 28th of February. Is this the last day of February, 2022?
It is the last day of February. I even checked to see if somehow it was a leap year, and it's not. So 28 is this is the, and I have to get my car inspected and my tags renewed, and I just like let the whole month go by.
Oh my God, we're all out of February.
That's right. We've run out of it.
It's a
What about the people that are born on the 29th?
They'll have their time. They'll have their time.
Yeah, they don't.
They're basically immortal.
They don't really exist, actually. Not really. Except every 4 years we see them briefly. They're like poltergeist sort of things, like spirits. Anyway,
We'll just say it is March 1st.
Intense water currents. After shows. Yes. Okay, cold slabs. You got that. I don't know where GRR is, but GRR is canceled. You know, I don't think we can let him in anymore.
My goodness.
He did a horrible thing out on the
what could he have done?
Yeah.
He's always been such a cool guy.
Well, I was doing my, every morning I get up and I search John Maddox's transcripts for pudding brain. And I was searching this morning and I immediately found him saying nice things about yaks. So anyway, here's a transcript, and I was going through it as I usually do every morning looking for pudding brain, because every morning the first thing I do when I get up is I check to see if John Maddox talked about me, because it's like the most important thing in my life.
Well, I personally don't have anything against yaks. Yaks. And then, I really don't know why anybody would say anything negative about them. So I don't know what to think.
Well, anyway, I found GRR saying good things. He was saying that SFT and John Maddox are not drifters.
Well, I guess he's entitled to his opinion.
Well, that's, you can have your opinion, and there's certain things you just can't say on YouTube.
That would be one of them.
That's it. So he was being all humanist about it. Anyway, we'll play that part later, but I want to talk about cold slabs. So we hear this. Here's the thing we keep hearing from SFT and his crowd. I call him Donnie Doofus now after this. So cold slabs, I think it's right here.
So this is what Sam was talking about earlier. This testable prediction from PhD geophysicist Dr. John Baumgartner, who built a model based on rapid plate tectonics and plate subduction. And he predicted, if this were true, catastrophic plate tectonics during the flood, we should find massive slabs of cold rock. Okay.
Number one, John Baumgartner predicted that we would find massive slabs of cold rock. I need to track that down because I don't think he really did that. I think what he predicted, he was talking about plate tectonics. I don't know if he predicted anything, to tell you the truth, but I would like to know where he predicted in like 1970 or whenever he did his work that there would be cold slabs down near the core. That's the first thing, right? Because Donnie keeps saying, oh, he predicted it. Well, he had a model for plate tectonics, and that's where the creationist model came from. That's when they started talking about the continents, traveling at many yards per second, that sort of thing. But anyway.
So how cold is it talking about?
Down at the bottom of the mantle. if they were only taken down there thousands of years ago rather than millions of years ago. Because if they were taken down there millions of years ago, they should have either assimilated to the surrounding material or probably just completely melted. But for sake of argument, to give the evolutionists the benefit of the doubt, let's say at least assimilated to the surrounding rocks. Okay, so after he made this prediction, you could read his starting point here. Geologists discovered evidence that supports both conclusions. Although the mantle is very hot, up to 7,200 degrees Fahrenheit, geologists found slabs of material at the bottom of the mantle that are cooler than the surrounding rocks by as much as 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll just cover this portion. You can respond. This discovery presents two mountainous puzzles for evolutionary geologists. First, the 420-mile deep barrier seems to prevent plates from getting down there to the bottom of the mantle. Second, even if plates could push through the barrier at their present rate of 1 to 2 inches per year, they would melt and match the rest of the mantle's temperature. But the findings fit nicely with Baumgartner's catastrophic flood model, and they've discovered this, Mark, using seismic tomography. So from your model, how do you explain these massive slabs of cool rock that have been discovered? Some pretty well touching the core, like hundreds of thousands of miles deep within the earth. Coal.
What?
How does one know about that?
No, wait a
SFD,
minute.
what the fuck are you talking about? I'm so lost.
Okay, listen.
He explained these massive slabs of cool rock that have been discovered. Some pretty well touching the core, like hundreds of thousands of miles deep within the.
Okay, hundreds of thousands of miles deep.
That's not real life testing. It's just by some
Okay,
kind of
the Earth-
mathematics
Hundreds of
thing you're doing.
thousands of miles. How big around is the Earth? 8,000 somewhat miles.
25,000 miles around diameter.
Yeah, how big around?
Circumference.
Maybe you said 100, hundreds to thousands.
Oh, that isn't what he said. Well, let's go back and listen to it again.
The earth. Some pretty explain these massive slabs of cool rock that have been discovered. Some pretty well touching the core, like hundreds of thousands of miles deep within the earth. Cold. How do you explain that?
What are you saying is hundreds of thousands of feet down?
These
said miles.
massive
Coal?
cold.
Okay. Anyway, Mark thought he was talking about coal or whatever. Let's see. 4,200. No, okay, no, I'm got the wrong fucking thing. Okay, 7,900 miles, not hundreds of thousands of miles.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing we saw here is that they said that the mantle is 7,200 degrees Fahrenheit, and that these cold slabs are 5,400 degrees cooler than that, right? But now, if you go to the creationist site where this is from, and I've linked all this stuff in my description. Here's what Donnie's talking about, this paragraph right here. I just put the little green thing on. He's talking about that, and they don't link a source, and they talk about a 1987 discovery. And I think the 1987 discovery probably had the numbers all wrong because we refined it quite a bit today. And we have I found a paper from 2006 where they found cold slabs. So the diving crust is made of essentially the same material as the lower mantle. Hang on.
Okay, all right. Are you back?
Yeah. The researchers said, but it is much cooler by about 1,260 degrees, not 5,400 degrees. Okay, and the mantle is roughly, the lower mantle is 4,500 degrees, not 7,200 degrees. So that's what came up. So anyway, these guys in this paper found this basically giant recycling machine. Okay, so the slabs go under the continents, and then they start to kind of ribbon out, and they push through that much that. The mantle is not liquid. It's solid, but it's fairly plastic. So they push down through that because they're a lot heavier, and they fold up at the bottom. And these guys claim that this particular, okay, this is an ongoing process. This is still happening. There's no reason why a ribbon couldn't have like angled down there 1,000 years ago or a couple thousand years ago, right? And broke off and settled down. Though I don't think it would go that fast. I think it takes millions of years for it to settle. So you're imagining a big ribbon of like clay or like flexible clay. Like if you warmed clay up and ribboned it down, and that would even take millions of years. This is a very, very slow process. And now there is also no reason to believe that something as thick as this crust would melt within thousands of years. It would take millions of years in order for this to end up at the same temperature. And the ones they measured on the bottom, they figure are 1,200 degrees different right now. And of course, they're still heating up because the core is hotter. And eventually it will assimilate. But let's see here. We've got, that's Baumgartner. Let's see. Didn't we have another video on plate tectonics? Okay, why China? Okay, this one. So they're showing the two different models. I think Steve Baumann, I've linked 3 Steve Baumann videos too. Haven't yet, but I'm going to shortly. He talks about plate tectonics. And this one, the first model, is the convection cell, where they believe that it kind of like rode along the top of these convection cells and then went down and melted. And then the other model is that basically the mantle goes down between these cells and it pulls the slab in. So rather than the ocean pushing the crust out and having it subduct, they believe that the gravity of this ribbon pulls down the crust, pulls it under, and it ends up down at the core. So there's nothing here that surprises geologists at all. And there's nothing here where geologists are screaming, oh my God, the Earth must only be a few thousand years old because this stuff would have melted. And the paper that, let's see here, where's my paper? Okay. There is a 2006 paper on this, and this is the article that I showed before. It comes from these guys. What is his name? Hutko and Garnero. They interviewed them, and they were talking about finding these with seismic detection. They did this deep scan, because the Earth has these noises that go through it every now and then every time there's an earthquake, they get a scan. And that's where that illustration came from that looks like a toilet. And anyway, this paper is also linked in my description. So, but then let's see, have a look here. So, okay, there's that picture again. And then here's another picture of what's going on with these slabs. You can see these big green things that kind of go down, and they go down and they go all the way down to the core, just like we would expect. And they don't melt instantly. I mean, these are they're 100 kilometers thick. I'm not sure what the ocean floor is, 30 or 40. How many kilometers do you know, Scott, right off the top of your head?
40 some thousand kilometers. Well, that's a circumference. So I don't know how thick. I haven't got the number with me.
Yeah.
I have to tap in, and if I was under pressure, I'd make a lot of mistakes, and you wouldn't get it till the end of the weather report.
Yeah, this kind of gives you an idea of the tormented things that are going on in the mantle. And then
so instead of that whole thing, if you could go back one there, if instead of that whole like that green piece at the top there on the right, instead of that whole thing melting into the mantle, what you're getting, I would think, would be just little segments of that are perhaps melting off and going into the mantle, but not a significant number or a significant mass of it. And so, so it goes to its thing. And then the ones that are closer. So, and instead of all at once getting melted, they're just getting melted slowly.
There's these gigantic ribbons that extend all the way down to the mantle, or down to the core through the mantle. And these things are really thick and gigantic, and it's going to take millions and millions of years for them to melt to the same temperature as the mantle and the core. And then it's going to become recycled rock. It's going to pop up again, and we'll end up with that. On the left here, we have that kind of hot-looking, scary part right there. That's just Hawaii happening and shit like that. But
so Also, you said Steve Baumann and others think of the gravity of that slab of that subduction layer going into the earth, that it has a strong enough gravity as a unit that it can be is it being attracted to that molten core, and that's influencing the angle at which it penetrates into the earth.
Yeah, the core, the gravity of at the center of the earth, the core of the earth is pulling the slab down, and because the slab is extremely thick and ductile, it's actually pulling the plates. So that's what causes.
That's a pretty interesting theory. I wonder how they're. I guess at first you can mathematically model that just to see if the gravity of the core and the subduction slab somehow outweighs or is more influential than the gravity, of the mantle around it, like the relative density or relative mass of it. But that's interesting. I'll have to look that up.
In this video here, I got to put this video in my description. This video here, they're talking about, they get into a lot of it also. And they said it's not that simple. It's not either one model or the other. There's kind of a combination. I don't know. Have you ever boiled oatmeal or, maltomeal or whatever on the stove?
I have I have boiled oatmeal. Yes.
Okay. You know how it kind of bubbles up and
yeah.
Yeah. And it's got convection, right? And it's real thick. And that's kind of what's going on. And when you model that, I mean, it is a pretty messy model. It's going to be something we're going to have to figure out. These guys have done models too, by the way. I think they're mentioned in that paper that I linked, or they are somewhere else. But anyway, this is all pretty interesting. So I mean, that's the whole thing with cold slabs. And the thing that kills me is how Donnie just confidently, how are you going to explain that? And along with that, he's asking, what the hell's his name here? Mark Drysdale. He's asking him, why the hell would he know the answer to that question? So
yeah, why not spend more time working on finding the sources to the numbers you're quoting?
Yeah, what Donnie likes to do in his debates is adopt this attitude. And it's all rhetoric with him. He's just a preacher. That's all he is. He's also a grifter, Gur.
Wait, is Gur in the side chat? Come on, Gur, get in here.
Yeah, he won't come in. He's afraid now because we're going to spank him.
Now he might actually be at work. So
no, I don't believe him.
It's a bad one. But just listen to the style here.
So this is what Sam was talking about earlier. This testable prediction from PhD geophysicist Dr. John Baumgartner, who built a model based on rapid plate tectonics and plate subduction. And he predicted, if this were true, catastrophic plate tectonics during the flood, we should find massive slabs of cold rock, cold material down at the bottom of the mantle, if they were only taken down there thousands of years ago rather than millions of years ago. Because if they were taken down there millions of years ago, they should have either assimilated to the surrounding material or probably just completely melted. But for sake of argument, to give the evolutionists the benefit of the doubt, let's say at least assimilated to the surrounding rocks. Okay, so after he made
with evolution,
you could read his starting point here. Geologists discovered evidence that supply geologists found by as much as 50 mountainous puzzles for evolutionary geologists. First, the 420 mile, and if even and match the rest of the flood model, and they've discovered this, Mark, using seismic full rock that have been discovered. Some pretty well touching the core, like that.
What are you saying is 100
deep within the earth, cold. How do you explain that?
How do you explain that? How do you explain that? And then you go out and you look and you start getting the papers and you figure out that he's talking out of his ass entirely, and he is so confident. The first thing he does is he sets up his person, PhD, prize-winning Nobel laureate, whatever, Baumgartner, he goes on and like they always have this big list of credentials, right? And then they tell you, what great thing they said or they did. And then it's like, how do you explain that? How do you explain that? And it's just like, it's the same pattern over and over again. And it's just kind of like weird and disgusting.
Yeah, why do so many creationists think that all atheists know about all the sciences, or science, types of science? Yeah.
I got to invite the Spatchcock brothers. There's some religious stuff in here too. Wait a minute.
Well, I just saw a video today that talked about species from what I talked about last week. Like, what is a species?
Oh, yeah.
And the video confirmed what I said, kind of, from Seeker.
What did it say?
That it was the humans that say what the species is by different ways of things that we understand by definition. There's different definitions and stuff. I can't really explain it myself. I'm not really good at talking, so that's what the video. It's in my top picks of the day. For What is a Species by Seeker. What even is a species?
Okay, so what else we got here? We got that thing, and then we got this thing. Okay, so we got cold crust, and we got SFT got saved from the blinders. Already falsified once. I thought this was interesting.
So here's the thing, though. Like, people are always asking, what would it take to falsify your belief? For a lot of us, though, our belief was already falsified. You understand? Like, I wasn't always a Christian. You wouldn't want to know me when I was out doing the things that I used to do. Okay, you wouldn't. But that worldview was falsified. And when I became a Christian, I read the Bible and I just understood that the biblical worldview wasn't consistent with the things that we're learning in school. But the reason why is because that's another worldview where you guys are trying to explain everything.
Okay,
about God. You need that time. I laugh.
Okay, this guy had no scientific contribution to make to the discussion. So he goes back into the how Jesus changed my heart kind of trope.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that fits into the discussion.
Yeah. They were talking about falsification, basically. And how do you falsify young earth creationism? And he said, oh, I've already falsified my worldview. I don't have to do it again. Like, do you only falsify your worldview once, or is it possible to change your mind twice? I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
That's not until you get to go to the worldview jail and do not collect $200. Then you might get to change a worldview again.
Right.
But you won't get the $200 for it.
Okay. I'm working on the description here a little bit. So top dog, you got your top picks here. Got them. Okay. Saving. So I got all Steve Baumann's videos, and I got the China video. Just a whole bunch of stuff if you want to learn about plate tectonics. Steve Baumann's a good place to start, though he gets into it. It's pretty technical, his particular thing on it. And I think it's pretty good. But anyway, there's another part here where SFT got saved from the blinders.
Basically, like there are.
I was blown away when I first discovered young Earth creation. That was like the blinders being removed, which eventually led to me getting saved.
The scales fell from your eyes, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, in college, I believed in evolution. I mean, I actually really enjoyed evolution, as in, like, I quite frankly, I kind of love the evolution story of human. I knew a lot about it back then too,
but still don't know the basics.
He doesn't know anything about it right now. Yeah.
Anyway. Well, he conveniently forgot everything. He loved it in college, but he conveniently forgot everything once he became a younger creationist.
Yeah, I just find it surprising that he said that when he run into young Earth creationism, all of a sudden the lights turned on. I think he had. I think what they mean is that now they can read the Bible and pretend that it makes sense because they're reading it too literally.
Because they want to feel. They want to have that feeling of the imagination of love.
Yeah.
Being loved by imaginary character.
Oddly enough, there are some passages in the Bible that actually condemn using your imagination.
Like,
I forget, but they are out there. They are there. I remember looking them up. I just can't remember them now.
Yeah,
but I'm not surprised.
Oh yeah, cold slabs. You want to imagine a world without God? Okay, I thought this was interesting.
These things happen fast. So again, we can demonstrate these things with a high level quality of science. We can observe it, we can test it, we can repeat it, we can falsify it. But you want us to ignore all of that because you have this, you've imagined this world where God doesn't exist and natural processes can explain everything. But your arguments aren't that convincing.
Okay, so how many of us have imagined?
Who's he talking to?
He's talking to, I believe, Mark Drysdale.
And is Mark Drysdale an atheist?
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Okay, because that just sounded weird that he would say stuff like that and use you.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, where the heck is that here? D-Force. Oh, I love jungle jargon. He's just.
Oh. So all these lines of evidence that you're bringing up, these are problems for you, not me.
I don't know how you can think that we had a flood 4,000 years ago and the Sahara Desert is just going to come out as this.
Okay, so I'm trying to find. Let's see.
That didn't sound like jungle jargon anywhere.
Yeah, I screwed my timestamp up. Jungle jargon here.
Yeah, and there's areas in the north that got climate change. Everything froze.
Well, it.
Okay.
I was watching this cool video the other day. It was about how the tundra is kind of thawing out, and they had this thing called the Fox Tunnel, and I cannot for the life of me tell you where it originates and where it terminates at. But the guy was just walking down there, and here's the tusk from an ancient extinct rhino. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, there's a mastodon right there buried in there. You can see the horn sticking out. And it was just the most incredible thing. But then you get to these portions where the mud or the whatever is turning darker and darker because it's thawing out. And of course,
permafrost.
Yeah, permafrost. There we go. And some of the bacteria is coming back to life, and that's the part where it got depressing. I had to stop. But it's pretty cool to know that you can just walk down this tunnel and just see these layers of places and see those animals just kind of sticking out. Maybe if you dug in there a little more, you'd get the rest of it if it wasn't all rotted away.
Okay, so here's where redefine living, and now there's a really good part coming up. You remember last week on the weather report on Friday, I mentioned that somewhere creationists were saying, like I heard Ramat the fruit bat say that continents had to slam into each other at high speed, otherwise it couldn't form mountains. Do you remember that?
Seen test the slow motion?
I've heard that at various times.
Go up still?
Yeah. Okay, so here they are.
Hey, Jefferson.
Yeah, we
found
cold slabs of mantle getting sucked down. Right?
Well, no, it happens all the time.
That's how we would say that these mountain ranges are formed also. If you imagine two cars, right? If you driving like 2 miles an hour and you touch the car in front of you, even if you floored it at that point, you'd only burn out. You're not going to crinkle that car. You got to get those cars moving fast, collide them to get that metal to crunch up. And it's the same with these mountains, you know. And we have erosion rates, and we know that these
Danikins
eroding into the
So what if
ocean.
you had
And
like a pressure thing, like a hydraulics going really slow and pushing those cars together?
It's the relative
Would they-
mass too. You have in that scenario, you have the one car hitting up against another vehicle, but the difference in mass isn't that great.
It's
Here you
momentum.
have huge, gigantic, slabs of land or sea bottom or crust that are just pushing and pushing, and they're being pushed from behind, and there's nowhere to go. So that tension is created.
Yeah, inertia.
Yeah, and then something gives way, and then you're going to go down. So those processes are a little bit different and not very well covered by that guy's analogy.
Okay.
Analogy. Yeah.
It's momentum. I mean, these continents are gigantic. Even if
Yeah.
they're only moving at an inch a year, the momentum is enough to collapse and push up those mountains. But they think it's velocity. They think it has to. So they're imagining a car, right? Two cars, one up against the other, and the car just first car steps on it. What's going to happen? I mean, is he going to accelerate and gain momentum? No, his wheels are going to spin. So, like, that's how this redefined living thinks. It just fucking blew me away. But there it is right there. I don't know. Was I talking to you, Jefferson, last Friday about these guys or was it Orge and I think it was Orge and Jason that I heard that these great, yeah.
Yeah, it must have been them. Yeah, I don't
They
recall
think
this.
the continental plates had to be going at 60 miles an hour, otherwise mountains couldn't have formed. The only way to form mountains is to go really fast.
Sorry.
That's what he just said that. I mean, it's like
they were cruising. That's how that pile up happened. Yeah.
60 miles an hour. I'm just trying to imagine that. Yeah. Born to be wild.
That'd be a hell of a clip to set the red.
If the continents actually went 60 miles an hour, I'm pretty sure we'd feel it.
Might feel a little rumbling.
Yep.
Yes.
So I don't know. We had some religious stuff here that do you care if we go over oil and how oil got formed and a little bit of this video?
Oil?
Or do you want to hear why GRR is canceled?
GRR.
You want to hear why GRR is canceled? Here it is right here.
But
John, come at me, bro.
But just be prepared, folks. Tomorrow. Actually, no, probably more like Monday.
Probably on my stream tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding.
By Monday, he's going to realize that everything he just said, being nice and being a normal human,
and
actually being a reasonable human, is not going to be well. It won't be well accepted because right now, the members of the Pudding Brain Gang are they're currently analyzing the transcripts of all my streams, right? And they're going to see Germania was saying that LPP and it aren't necessarily evil grifters. They actually believe this stuff. So Germania, listen, buddy. If you become the subject matter of a weather report, just let me know, and you and I can have a stream together and analyze how dumb that is.
Okay, I know this particular person probably isn't too popular here for probably good reason, but I know when I spoke to Praise, I said the same thing to him. I don't know how the topic got brought up, but I said, listen, if you're making money on YouTube for sharing your point of view and standing on your principles, that's not grifting by any freaking definition that I know of. And
okay. So
given the fact,
especially when you work 16 hours a day.
Okay, so anyway, GRR was saying nice thing about these things about the X. So John figured that we were going to cancel GRR, so I decided to go along with it and cancel them.
Yeah, get canceled, GRR.
Yeah, cancel. GRR grifter. So GRR was making the point that, there are some atheists that call these guys grifters. Well, some of them are fucking great. Kent Hovind, come on. He's making money, right? That's what he does for a living. I mean, Eric Hovind making money. Ken Ham making money. That's all they're fucking doing. Some of these guys are grifters, but Maddox and the SFT, if they're grifters, they're failing at it. So They're not very good at it.
Gee, I wonder why GRR didn't want to come in.
I don't know why GRR doesn't want to come in, because he's canceled. That's why.
Well, Jefferson, tell us a little bit about your experience of the weekend and all the live streaming and chit-chatting that was going on.
I did well. I mean, there was the stuff yesterday was mostly. I didn't. God, what the hell was my last video? Yeah. So I mean, I did one with Michael on Saturday. Other than that, that's just about his last conversation with J. Robin. But other than that, there was some. My brother was on for quite a long time yesterday.
Yeah, he was.
But that's
was he on the day before too? I feel like this was like a big weekend. Lots of time spent on streams.
Yeah, he spent a decent amount. Well, especially last night. I think he was on for 4 hours or so. Which he has less time to do that now. But yeah, no, I didn't see anything too interesting. Jill is still race baiting. Other than that, the biggest one that I saw that I thought was kind of interesting was that Praise sort of like laid down like a little declaration of hostilities towards Darth Dawkins.
Who did?
Praise I am.
Towards whom?
Darth Dawkins.
Oh, wow.
He did a video called, it's a little over 2 hours, and it's something like Darth Dawkins can, I don't know, it's not polite with his Van Tillian ass wipe so-and-sos. So it's one of those typical, like, okay, I'm going to use some offensive fighting words as a title. So this sounds like it's going to be entertaining and fun. And then he tries to lay out like an educational channel, like bits and pieces of, I guess I can't really blame him. I mean, I try to do the same thing, but I try not to like make it quite as jarring. And he's like, he's showing not clips, but he's got like excerpts from these books and stuff from different apologists that disagreed with Van Til and things like that. He'll pause to say something kind of derogatory about Darth, and I used to be in that cult too, and it is not interesting.
Like last month, he was in that cult.
Yeah, exactly. The funny thing about this is, though, my brother told me, and I should really probably, well, I don't think he's here. I'd let him say this, but it was funny. He DM'd me on something, sent me a text, and he's like, I reached out to Darth Dawkins. I DM'd him because Praise is live right now with this video calling out Darth and his Van Tillian pre-sup nonsense. It's heretical and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, were you able to DM him? I mean, he's like, yeah. And I said, well, what'd you tell him? And he's like, I told Darth that Praise was live and running his mouth and talking a lot of shit about him. But if he wanted the link, I could send it to him. And I said, well, did you get a response? And he said, yeah, Darth said, was curious about Praise's stream and said yes. Jay sent him a link, and then I guess after he did that, he tried to send him a follow up because he didn't show up. I think he tried to send him a follow up or another link or something like that, and Darth changed his settings to friends only.
Wow.
It's like, yeah, thanks for the link, and oh yeah, let me tighten up my security because I don't want to hear from you anymore and make sure that. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I was like, what a twat.
Wow. Anyway, so what else we got?
I agree. That was twatish behavior.
It was by all definitions.
GRR had a bunch of stuff he was asking about hell and eternal damnation on here.
You don't have to worry about it.
I don't. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. And then I think they started talking about annihilation with Danny, and we went over that Friday.
Oh yeah.
But this thing is like a smorgasbord. This redefined living. He was talking about force getting sucked down into the mantle and they become oil, or something like that. And
okie dokie.
It was a whole big conversation that him and Mark Drysdale have.
Do you happen to have that music ready?
I don't know.
This isn't what I signed up for. Oh!
Ladies and gentlemen, the only hashtag Gurmania has appeared.
Oh, hey, you want to make a channel where we yell at James? And you're like,
Yeah. DJ Gurr.
And cut.
That all happens in my head when Gurr.
Yeah, that's why
scream?
when we heard the song, we had to have it as Gurr's theme song.
It's like, what the fuck? Oh my god.
That's kind of funny.
See, do those other guys give you a theme song?
No, they don't.
Okay, just think about that.
Fuck those guys. They don't get my theme song.
Okay, Gur, I have a question for you. Who are they talking about with the elf ears or something? I don't know.
I have
Angry
no
elf.
idea.
No, yeah, you do.
I
you
really
do.
don't.
Yes,
If I had a suspicion, I would say it. But I don't even have a suspicion. Like
You said you did, asshole. Play the clip.
So Maddox said he wouldn't come on my streams because I have this mad elf guy on here.
Mad Elf.
the fuck-
I remember him saying that.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Mad
Is that
Elf.
me? Is he talking about me?
Probably me.
Maybe. Are you a mad elf sometimes?
Maybe.
I am not.
I'm thinking maybe he was talking about. Well, it doesn't make sense that he would be talking about David, but that's the only person that comes to mind.
You did
because
use
he's
the
not
phrase
here.
David Mad Elf at some point.
Yeah, he
but
said David. But
I
so
David
don't know.
is like a world.
So there was a distinction between David and Mad Elf.
Yeah, I did.
Mad Elf.
I'm trying to remember past
don't know.
avatars, but I don't recall anything like that where he used an elf. But he's been on the internet a lot longer than me in terms of YouTube.
So I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Listen, give this a listen.
So you are doing after your little snuggle session with Pudding Brain with the other day.
The snuggles are good.
So
It's-
most
I- I
people
really
just come in here feel like
You
snuggling.
guys are always end up like talking about me or somebody, and then having a little like it's like you guys are hugging each other, and making sure.
Do you need a hug, Gur?
Well, according to LPP, I guess I do.
Yeah, I don't mind hugging. It's just I just wondered if you like emotionally felt like it was the equivalent of a hug when you came in here and chit-chatted.
Actually, most people on my side talk more shit about me than the Christian side, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Can I ask something? Like that was John Maddox talking, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was.
Has he like given up on something? Because it seems like I don't listen to him very often, but I thought like the last some of his earlier videos, he was trying to sound a little bit like either a preacher or maybe I was kind of coming across as a used car salesman. He sounds extra sleazy now.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know because he disappeared from he took a break from YouTube, or at least it seemed to be for a while.
yeah, he had to go to work.
I like his short form content that he was putting out, like you had mentioned. Not that it was good, but it was something easily digestible. Not these 5-hour streams. I hate people who stream hours on end.
Hours on end, yeah, they're the worst.
Oh, so wait, so you hate yourself? You hate yourself is what you're telling us.
Man, there's some confrontation. Do we need to put your squares closer together and let y'all talk it out?
Please don't.
No. Yeah. You know what? Girl will be too blinded by my brilliance.
I don't know if it'd be the brilliance part. It'd be the sunlight reflecting off of you.
That's what I meant.
Okay, so listen to this and try to figure out who this is he's talking about.
It's so funny that Pudding Brain wonders why I won't join his streams, and it's most specifically because of what's the dude who's like the angry elf? Is that David?
Angry elf. Okay, yeah, that's why I was thinking it was David.
Whatever the one that's
I'm
always
not gonna
like.
say.
Who were you thinking?
Because with Angry Elf, like when somebody asked me that, I guess it was you in the side chat. The first person that came to mind was David, but then after thinking about it, I was like, nah, that doesn't make sense. But
Is
I
he
guess it
talking
was
about Orge?
subconsciously.
I wonder if he's talking about Orge. He's thinking He's saying elf, but he's thinking ogre.
No, but Orjay, he goes to, well, I don't
He
know if he
goes
goes to
to
LPP stream, but he does talk to John a fair decent amount, at least on Praise's streams. Well,
Plus,
shit, I guess they
don't
don't go there anymore.
I don't know what videos that LPP is recollecting, but Orge just doesn't come on here a whole lot. I mean, I wish he would, but he just doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Is somebody eating something? I hear a plate.
I hear something. I hear like a fork against the plate.
Yeah.
Me.
You son of a bitch. Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, Speed, but LPP did join my stream. Let's see, this was Saturday for about 20 minutes. Yeah, it was a one-on-one conversation for a little bit. I had to keep telling him, hey, stop reading the side chat, because the side chat was just shitting all over him. But
Oh,
yeah,
no, I'll have to
Pixie,
check that
Sacred
out.
Pagan Mom, Ox, they were all just chewing him a new one. And so I would ask him a question, but then he would address the side chat. I'm like, John, stop looking at the side chat. Focus. Focus on
So
my questions.
I thought this part was kind of interesting, and like, okay, that thing he said about how he doesn't come in here because of the Mad Elf, is he just making excuses because he's really afraid to come in here?
Probably, but I don't know. I don't really know.
But anyway, I thought this was interesting.
No, Wednesday's stream weather report, because I hopped over there because I knew that Pudding Brain would be triggered by the Perry.
Okay, so he knew I was going to be triggered by the Perry Marshall thing, right?
The Perry Marshall interview. So I hopped over to see what it was, and yeah, he talked about it for like a grand total of 30 seconds. It was hilarious.
Okay.
So you weren't triggered then?
I was triggered for 30 seconds.
That's
going by his own logic.
Pretty small in terms of triggers.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. It's like I thought he'd be triggered. Yeah, he only talked about it for 30 seconds.
Yeah, he just nullified what he said.
Okay.
Yeah.
He give me I found that paper actually, and then he actually gave me a link to something. First time ever John Maddox has given me a link. Wow. So maybe he's growing up or growing a pair. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, giving sources that you rely on when you critique others, that is a big step.
Yeah, so it was about 30 minutes before I went live, and I scanned the paper, and I wasn't going to read it, but okay, he complained about me not reading the paper. So this morning I sat down and I read. Oh my God, it was horrible. It was like really bad homework that you got to do, and it was just it was Perry Marshall going on, and the guy Perry Marshall is an interesting chap. I'll tell you, very interesting. For one thing, where's this? Okay, Perry Marshall. Information theory.
He's the $1 Million Guy challenge, right?
Okay.
$1 Million
hearing business strategies from God with Perry Marshall. What the
is that the name?
Yeah, it's the name of the video.
Send all your money to me. That's what God wants.
Yes. And send me. Yes. And I love the book of Isaiah. There's all kinds of stuff in that book that resonates with me. It's really one of the most beautiful ancient books ever written.
Anyway, Maddox is saying that this guy, he's not looking for intelligent design. He actually pushes back on the intelligent design idea. But then when you listen to his shit, that's all he ever talks about. I mean, he's definitely angling for fucking intelligent design. I mean, where's that part we found? Listen to this. He goes on about Gödel's incompleteness theorem, and he's got, he's figuring shit out, and he comes up with this.
Wow,
that sounds familiar.
You take Gödel's theorem and you do some simple induction on it, and you end up with big surprise, something that sounds an awful lot like God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, God.
Now.
Yeah, it sounds just like God. So, I mean, tell me, John, that this guy is not basically at his heart an intelligent design guy, and his $10 million prize is just a fucking sham so that he can raise money for his 80/20 consulting business. He's a marketing consultant, and that's primarily what he does.
Intelligent design proponents, most of them are okay with evolution, but
yeah, he's
but they think that it was started or guided by God.
Perry Marshall is okay with evolution, and I think he goes all the way back to the first cell, that he believes that God created this super intelligent cell, and the cell is now has cognition and intelligence, and it does things all by itself. And he goes on and talks about Barbara McClintock's work, and we covered a bit of that on Friday, and I delved even deeper into Barbara McClintock's work. And he insists that the cell is so smart that it can actually rewrite its own DNA. No, cells don't do that. And he thinks that transposons are those little endogenous retroviruses and all that. He thinks they're so smart that they can reprogram the cell, that they jump into a spot and they reprogram the cell. And Barbara McClintock proved that in 1943.
Did he begin his study of genetics and DNA with the Resident Evil games or something? Because that kind of sounds like where he's at.
No.
He's in some science fiction territory there.
He definitely started with the Bible. He's one of these lifelong religious guys. So
You did mention that he's an engineer and not any kind of biologist.
He's an electrical engineer. He was arguing with P.Z. Myers, and he was arguing about transposons, and he kept saying, no, it's not random. Barbara McClintock proved that the transposons know where they're going, and they go to this particular spot. And as it turns out, the transposon he's talking about, which is DS, or dissociation transposon, that Barbara McClintock discovered in 1943, I think, it'll find an exon or an intron, and it jumps into the middle of it. Basically, that's where it gets transcribed, but it doesn't do it because it's intelligent. It does it because that's the sequence that it's looking for, basically. So that's why it does that. And he insists that, oh no, it's not random or not stochastic, that it's absolutely a designed super intelligence working behind the scenes. That's his whole deal, his whole spiel. And he's got a 2-hour video here, 2 hours and 35 minutes, where he explains it to this whoever the hell that guy is. This is on, well, that one's Answers in Atheism, but because I uploaded it anyway. But so I spent much more than 30 seconds this time, didn't I, John? There you go.
I'm gonna get going because I got a couple things I got to get done, and I've got to doing a stream at 6:30. So thanks for the link. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for stopping in.
See you, Jefferson.
See you, Jefferson.
Yep. So you guys want to listen to the oil part? Because there's some precious things. I don't
Precious.
There's some precious shit on that. Okay, we got Snuggles Are Good. I got Gur Succubus. I got
what?
Yeah. So I think what he doesn't like is I'll come on here and I'll talk a bunch of trash about him.
Yeah.
And then I'll go, well, the thing is, I still act the same way when I talk to him on his stream or on my stream, so I don't really know what the contrast is.
Yeah. What are you doing that's different, right?
Yeah, I don't think I do anything differently. So I don't know where I was going with that thought.
You had some good questions for him. If you want to go over any of that, we could do that later. But the one about eternal roasting.
Yeah. Okay. So, me, when it comes to evolution versus creationism, to me, it's just like, well, science has got that settled, and also it's irrelevant because even if we discovered tomorrow that all biological evolution was completely false, it still would not impact my belief or lack thereof in God. So it's like, it doesn't matter. So what I like to do is ask people, Christians, on their theological points of view. For example, I did ask him, I said, okay, does everybody here believe in eternal conscious torment or no? And then for whatever reason, Standing for Truth was like, well, listen, I mean, does anyone think that it would be best to roast forever or just to be annihilated? And I'm like, it's a crowded room, so it's hard for me to say everything, but I'm just thinking, why not just answer my question first? And he might have, to be fair, I don't remember. But yeah, just kind of change the topic a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, if these Christians believe that God's going to send them to a place to be eternally tormented, why would you want to worship that God? What kind of sick, cruel God is that? Well, that's the God of the Bible.
There was okay. There was some. Yeah, after you asked that question, the discussion went on, and then Danny got in, and they asked Danny which he would choose. But then, who the hell was this? Who came up with the atheists have to suffer sort of thing? But listen to this.
It does have eternal implications one way or another, right? In the same way, like we go out and we try to preach the word and we ask people to repent. And we give them the gospel message and we hope that they trust in Christ. So we're taking part in eternal work. But in the same way, these militant atheists, they are also taking part in eternal work by searing and hardening the hearts of these people. And so they're, we're all, everything we do here does have eternal consequences. And it just follows that there should be eternal consequences for the things that we do, which have eternal consequences. So that's what.
Okay, so what he's saying,
it made no sense.
Okay, what he is saying there is that because what atheists are doing, trying to get non-believers to non-believe,
right?
That we are that has eternal consequences. So atheists should have eternal punishment, right?
Well, what he. An atheist would not acknowledge that it has eternal consequences.
No,
it might free you up in this world, which is the only world there is, so that you're not spending your time, wasting your time, throwing money that's being misused, or having kind of these tribal cultural rules that make you feel bad because you disobey them. Well, you don't have to feel bad about that. So it seems like it doesn't do harm for eternity.
This goes to my theory that what is foremost in these guys' minds is that other people suffer and that they don't because they're saved. But the people that aren't saved, the people that reject God, they're going to get it. They're going to really get a spanking when they get up there. I mean, it's this whole thing about othering. And when you look at what's happening in the Republican Party and the far left too, it's all about othering people. This we're the chosen ones. We're doing the right thing. We're going to get the goodies, and the other guys are going to get spanked. And that drives most of these beliefs. These dogmatic fundamentalist beliefs are driven by getting their yucks by thinking that there's going to be justice. Yeah, if you get in a conversation with these people about justice, it really is interesting. I've heard a number of them on Praise's channel and on his SFT and LPP's channel where they start talking about, justice. There's got to be justice. It's not a little bit of justice. It's got to be fucking eternal torture. I mean, you don't get out of this light. And that's where, you remember when Smokey Saint went off on me when he asked, well, do you think when you die, it's nirvana? And so then Hitler died. So Hitler's in nirvana. And he started calling me this disgusting piece of, moral crap or whatever, because I said that Hitler was going to basically get the same nirvana as anybody else had died, right?
Yeah, like that's the thing. When it comes to Christians who genuinely believe that all non-Christians are going to suffer for eternity, it seems like that would make them nicer to us.
Yeah.
Because, for example, let's just say, hypothetically, let's just say I knew that Speed was going to be burned alive tomorrow. I would not be mean to you. I would try to treat you the best that I could. Ever.
Give me a hug.
You're an asshole. Don't even think like that.
Give me a hug, Gur. You need a hug again. Another hug from Gur.
Hey, I'm posting in the private chat the timestamp of my stream that had LPP in it.
Okay.
And it was kind of scary letting him in because my computer had just crashed before I let him in. So I told him, I said, listen, it's very possible it could crash on my end So you'd have free reign to talk all kind of crap about me, and I could not stop you.
Oh no.
But the main one of the questions that there's a couple questions that I asked him. I asked him what he thought about speaking in tongues, and he doesn't seem to be one who subscribes to that silly belief, which I didn't think he was a speak.
It's not a silly belief, girl. People speaking in tongues is a serious problems.
Yeah. And the other thing that I asked him, which I should have asked him this earlier, because right when I asked him, he had to go. Conveniently, thank you, man. I was looking for the word because I had asked him, okay, so when a baby dies, does it go to heaven or hell? And he says heaven. And so my follow-up was, okay, isn't it best that all babies die and go to heaven so that way they don't risk at all going to hell? But he had to go, so
he had to go, eh? That's too bad.
I think he just ran away scared. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Nah, he to be fair, he did have to go, but I really should ask
I
him
don't believe him.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone should believe him. We should just believe that he ran away scared. That's what I prefer.
It's funnier that way.
I'll listen to that and analyze it for the show.
Better comedy value.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might find some gems in there.
Yep.
Oh, and then towards the end of our chat, Dr. Josh came in the side chat and said, "Why would anyone stoop so low as to go on Germania's channel? Who's such a moron?" That's like, damn.
Nice. Did he say that while Maddox was still in the room?
Yeah, I thought it was funny, but John was like, "Oh, Dr. Josh is just butthurt because I don't know what he said. He thinks I didn't read his book when I actually did read his book." And I'm like,
who said that?
Maddox.
I'm sure Dr. Josh cares about John reading his fucking book.
Yeah. Yeah, Gura, think about how many people Dr. Josh represents when he tears you a new one.
And I don't know. Did you get the?
I don't know.
Did you get the same drift that I got from John Maddox when he was talking to you about coming over here and getting snuggled? That that he's kind of got a thing for you, and he sort of feels like I'm like
it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, yeah, I guess that does make sense.
Kind of seems like he's got a soft spot there.
Well, I did ask him. I was like, dude, I know you don't get along with a lot of atheists, so am I like the only atheist you get along with? And he said, well, he did say that there was one other Canadian atheist that they kind of get along now, at least to a certain degree. So, yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, well, I don't know. What are we going to do, guys? Are we shooting ahead or should we listen to oil?
Already? All right. Well, up to you.
I'm hoping my new computer gets here.
Are you excited about your new computer, Gura?
I am so excited.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sit down or whatever.
I keep checking my notifications to see if it's
checking
been delivered.
I'd be just looking out the window, hoping that maybe the van got here before the computer.
Yeah,
the notification. That would be stupid for the van to get here before the computer, but before the notification.
Well, I actually have the door open. I keep looking outside.
Yeah, Porch Pirates are going to get it. So, what did you get? A Windows or a Mac?
Mac.
Oh, boo! Kick him off.
It's the Mac Mini M1.
Mini M1, okay.
So you're getting a tiny computer?
Yeah, but it'll do everything I need it to do. And I was looking up reviews. They said just the base model, like the one that only has 4 gigabytes of memory, not even a terabyte of RAM. And they said all that blows most of the Mac Pro computers out of the water. And so I got mine with all the extra stuff.
I've never, other than an iPhone, used a Mac system. And if I got one today, I would be totally lost, I think.
It's a little bit of a learning curve, but yeah, once you get the hang of it, I just love it. I love because I've had growing up, I only had Windows, and then over the past, let's see, a couple years ago, I had a Toshiba laptop that messed up after 2 years. I got another one, brand new. It messed up after 2 years. The current laptop that I have, I've had it for about 6 years. Have not had a single problem with it, and it was my first Mac, and so they've won me over.
Yeah, that thing's probably a pretty damn good kid. That's going to run a lot of shit. Did you get 2 terabytes? 2 terabytes or
one? I would have liked to get the 2 terabytes, but it was out of my budget. So I was like, okay, because really anything that's just a little bit more room than what I currently have would be great.
Yeah.
It's supposed to make video editing a lot better too.
Hello, Jay Pasek.
Yep. Even iMovie is pretty fucking performant. Well, it takes a while to save shit, but I mean,
hey Jay,
like on my MacBook 2019, I can run. I'm running 2 4K monitors plus the MacBook plus I have 100 tabs open, papers, OBS, StreamYard.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
The fan roars a little bit with StreamYard, but not too much. It's not that bad. I mean, it runs a lot of shit, and this thing I think is more powerful than what I got. So.
Well, and that's the thing. All the reviews said you don't hear the fans running, and the temperature of the computer hardly changes, and that's after running tons of tabs on it. So yeah,
cool.
They might be using a liquid cooler, a small one.
That thing's the size of an Apple TV. It's this little tiny block.
Right? Yeah, it's only like 7 by 7 inches, and I think in thickness it's only like 2 inches thick, maybe less.
Well, how many plugins does it have? Do you have just one port plugin and you have to extend it, or what?
I think it's got maybe 3. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, there's a hub. There's a hub that you can buy from Apple that hooks to the Thunder port on it, and that expands your USB and HDMI and all that other shit.
Yeah, I got like 3 hubs on mine. I got a lot of shit. Cool. And I'm wondering if it'll run 3 monitors. Like probably. Geez, and that's not a bad price. I paid $4,000 for this fucking laptop, MacBook Pro.
Yeah, it's 16 gigabytes. Let's see, where'd it go? 1 terabyte. I was wanting more on all of this, but yeah, it was getting way too expensive.
Yeah. When you add terabytes, they really fucking jack up the price.
Yeah, because they're using
4 terabytes.
Yeah,
I ended up getting 2.
Yeah,
what's
they're
a
using
terabyte?
M2s in those little form factors. It's a terabyte. He means terabyte.
We're not going to pick on them, Top Dog.
What did I say?
You said trilobite instead of terabyte.
Terabyte is 1,000. A terabyte is a little over 1,000 gigs.
No, a terabyte is 1,000 trilobytes.
Shut up.
Is that what it is?
I'm getting no snuggles here.
There's teraflops, so that's like a speed.
Yeah,
of their
teraflops is normally.
processor.
Yeah, it's normally used in measuring. Yeah, it's normally in processor.
I was defending you, Gur. I just have a way about me. I mean, I have a way of defending people that you probably don't care for. But
we're glad you have a computer that works.
Yeah, I'm just glad it works this time. Because like with my regular laptop, well, I have 2 laptops now, and one of them doesn't stream for shit. The other one will stream, but it won't share videos, at least on StreamYard. And so I just thought, okay, I've just got to go ahead and upgrade.
Oh, so Chris has a 52-inch too. Do you have 4K? Crispy guy.
Who is John Boy?
I don't know. Oh, it's Maddox. Is it Maddox? No, it's somebody faking.
Hey, I don't know if anybody has heard this before, but apparently tomorrow there's a debate between Trent Horn and Doug from Pinecreek about the resurrection.
Oh, that's
so if you think that might be interesting, there's the link.
That might be interesting. You put a
It's
link
on
out.
Digital Gnosis channel.
I'll put it out in the. Did Jesus rise bodily from the dead? Nope.
Yeah.
Done and done.
That shit doesn't happen.
You know, speaking of that, that's another thing I was telling John on my stream was, you know, I'm okay with accepting that there was a historical Jesus who had followers or disciples. But as soon as you say, oh, yeah, and this guy walked on water, he healed the sick, died and came back to life, that's when it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you
that's
lose
too
me.
much. Yeah.
So how about then? Did they? Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. You're good.
Like, how did they know the difference back then between Pinecreek or illusions and stuff? Like, not many people understand still.
Well,
like
that's
the layman people.
That's
They
actually another point that I brought up, which was either he did trickery or he did none of that, and it was just added to the stories, you know, 40 years later when they were written. Or
Sounds possible.
just none of it happened. But yeah.
Yeah, the issue is what they say that there's a witness to the resurrection. There is no witness to the resurrection. It's just a conclusion that they're making in the narrative that because supposedly the tomb, you know, according to the narrative, the tomb is found empty, and then Jesus goes around and, you know, meets up with his disciples and other people, depending on whichever gospel that you read. Therefore, he resurrected. But there's no actual witness of Jesus actually coming back to life.
Well, and
what
that's
is the extra biblical evidence for there being a tomb at all, and not just a
But there's
ditch?
no. But the other issue is that logically, even if you concede that sure there's this Jesus Christ guy and he can rise from the dead, that doesn't actually prove that that he's a god or that there is a god.
Right. Yeah.
Those are separate claims.
Right.
Right. And if Jesus is a god, fundamentally, and if gods are eternal, meaning they always have been and they always will be, that logically entails they cannot die. Jesus fundamentally, if he is God, according to them, he is God, he didn't fundamentally die for shit. Because gods can't die.
Right.
So
you've clearly never watched the show Lucifer, have you?
What is the evidence for an extra biblical evidence for the tomb?
All right, I can do that.
Josephus.
None, really. I mean, the fact that tombs exist.
Well, I mean, most people that were crucified got tossed in a ditch or left to rot on the cross, right? That's what they were doing during that time period in Jerusalem. The Romans.
I think the argument would be that, and this may be true. I just don't have a quick source to throw at you, but that because it was the Passover and the Sabbath, they wanted to get him down and just kind of put away to be prepared for burial. Although they don't, why would you necessarily give the criminal?
Based on the writings. Yeah, it's based on the writings of Josephus. So that's the extra biblical account where Josephus talks about the tomb. I believe it's in Josephus. That tomb was given to the family by Joseph of Arimathea. That's where the tomb came from. Normally, yeah, if nobody claimed Jesus, he would have been freaking thrown in a ditch.
Well, and another thing is they'll say there was 500 witnesses, and it's like, no, somebody wrote that there was 500 witnesses. That's that.
Right.
So how many other people get the tomb treatment at that time?
Well, you only have 500 witnesses that witnessed him after he supposedly rose from the dead. That wasn't 500 witnesses that witnessed the resurrection.
Yeah, that witness. Yeah, right. So no matter how
I try to make that, I try to clarify that with Christians. They have a really hard time wrapping their head around it. I said, no one is a witness. There is nothing in the narratives that says that anyone witnessed Jesus Christ physically rise from the dead.
You had one guy saying there was 500 witnesses.
So now that's being a little, like I said, that could be considered a little hyper skeptical, but still, you still didn't have any witnesses of the resurrection. You do have witnesses supposedly saying that they were meeting this guy. They were meeting Jesus supposedly after, or Jesus was coming to see them after he was dead. And then there's Paul's Damascus Road experience. That basically cinches it right there. That's proof that Jesus died for your sins, rose from the dead, and he could appear, well, like to Saul of Tarsus, who became Paul, the Apostle Paul.
Hey, not to change the topic, but just for 1 second, Jay. So the Raging Atheist joined my stream Saturday.
He
Probably
did again?
2 hours.
I saw. I haven't gone back.
Well, it was pleasant. It was nothing crazy. It was actually a really good conversation. We talked for a little bit backstage as well. But I asked him, I said, hey, have you seen Jay Passick's video? He goes, nah, I like Jay, so I'm trying not to watch it.
So is he still
It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything. I was joking about it. I even stated I like Rage. I don't have any problem with him, but I do love throwing that rumor around the Christian circles.
That's what
killed it. I killed Rage's channel.
Because that's
Gur
where
held him down, and I finished him off.
That's where I was going with it. But since he said that, I was like, okay, never mind. Yeah,
Might as well just not. Yeah. Don't rub any more lemon and salt in the wound.
But that was a good conversation.
Yeah, well, I was there too, Gur. So don't count me out.
So what did he say? What did the Rage say about his channel? Is he going to take a break? What's he doing?
He's trying to take a break, and he's also trying not to watch, all these other videos
good.
of people hating on him. So yeah,
right.
Hopefully he sticks with it.
Gur, the next time Midnight makes that statement. Well, remember I was there too. The next time Midnight says that, just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Midnight. I forgot you were there."
Well, of course.
Wait a minute. Hey guys, is Midnight here right now?
I don't see him.
Don't try to fucking latch on to its sound. It's too speed. It's too late.
I don't see him. I'm looking at the screen and I don't see him anywhere on the screen. Anyway,
if he was laying down on a white sandy beach, you wouldn't see him.
Oh my God, you were in there with. Wait, Gur, you were in there with Redefined Living. Was this an old stream or was this the one from this weekend?
Actually, it was actually right after you and I chatted, Jay. It was probably 10 minutes after that I joined. But thankfully, I didn't have to talk to Sam all that much because, he's Sam.
Oh, he was talking about oil. The thing I got on oil, where he was talking about how the force they were thrown down underneath the earth and they became oil. And he was going back and forth with Mark Drysdale about Drysdale was saying no, they weren't force. They it was like,
okay, I gotta take off.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.
I didn't get to say goodbye.
Jay left.
Yeah.
He was saying
He said he had to leave.
So now there's only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 people in here, including myself.
Yeah, only 4 people.
Only 4 people.
Top Dog, Scott, Puddin' Brain, and Germania.
Yeah, I thought there was an albino in here, but
nope, can't see him.
Can't see him.
I'm trying so hard not to laugh.
Can't see him. Oh shit. Anyway, so going on John's stream this weekend? Huh? Are you? Gur?
Well, here's the thing. If my computer gets here today, I'm probably just going to stream like a maniac on my channel.
Oh, really?
What, today?
Tonight?
No, I'm sorry. If my computer gets here today, then by this weekend, I'll probably just be on.
Oh, yeah. You want to see how the bells and whistles make it different and better?
Yeah.
I have wanted to. What the hell were we? We were going to talk about something. I suggested it to you in email.
Oh, yeah.
On your channel. What was it? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and read. Oh, yeah. There was something that needed to be said, but I don't think I ever. I never did get back to you with that. If it's what I'm thinking of, did it have to do with addressing some stuff?
No, it was about it's something to do with religion. I think I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, yeah. How some people think, because it was a Matt Dillahunty discussion between him and
Yes.
Christian.
Right.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then I lost my steam. So like, I get all these ideas in the morning about things that I want to do, and if I mean it, and nobody's going to listen in the morning, so I don't go live. And then by afternoon, I'm like, fuck it, I'm not, I'm not doing that.
There's been many times.
LPP is here. What's up, goobers? All the vitriol aside, I'm going to try to raise some money for a homeless lady tonight. Oh, really? Okay.
Hey, John, Evil Elf is not in here, so you could join.
Maybe you are Evil Elf.
Well, no, I'm not David.
But in all honesty, though, that's cool of John.
We don't hate you, John. Anyway, are you going to do that on your channel, John? Because if you have a link to that, I will put the link in my description, and I will show up and listen. And we don't hate you, John. We just like to fuck with you.
No. See, John, they hate me. So
hopefully you guys can put aside your hatred, find kindness. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I absolutely great cause. Good of you to do that.
Yeah. I tip my hat that I don't have to you, John. I think that's great. I think if more Christians were doing things of that nature,
I feel like singing now. Thank you.
They probably wouldn't warrant as much criticism as they typically get.
Okay, I'm doing something really crazy right now, guys. I'm giving John a rent so you can put a link to it. Well, I could go find it, but I'm going to add him on it. I'm going to give him a rent for about an hour. He's got a rent for 1 hour, and we'll see if he behaves and uses it properly.
Now, he may not have a link to whatever's going on. It may be a local thing that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, wherever it is, tell us where it is.
Okay, no, he says he's about to set it up.
Okay, we'll watch for it.
Yeah,
but good on you.
That's cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So now we have to keep going for another hour until he gets the link set up.
We got to shoot it in the head, guys. We got to shoot it in the head.
Hey,
go ahead, shoot it in the head.
Speed,
but shoot me first.
Right when LPP says, "Okay, I've got the link." Oh, sorry, we got to end.
He's got a wrench, and now we're gonna end. Okay, you're setting it up now. I'll give you. We'll give it 5 minutes. Should we listen to a little bit about oil?
Yeah, and also, even if you can't make it to post a link, you can at least post it in the next weather reports.
Well, I can also put it in my description after the fact because you can edit the description later. So
what? You can do that?
Yeah, so
it
will be on John's channel. Everybody knows how to find if he's doing it on his channel, so should be able to find it. Anyway, what else? Oil? Want to hear about oil?
I love oil, especially peanut oil. It's the best.
Peanut oil, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, well, I'm from Georgia, so.
Oh, you are. You got a peach tree in your backyard?
Yep, and I keep my guns loaded right beside it.
Yep.
Blowing my Budweiser.
Okay, you put salt shot in that, right? You don't put BBs in your shotgun, right? Salt shot?
No, we pack it all down here. We got BBs, we got 45 shotguns, gauge shotguns, not gauge. Let's see, what else we got?
Well, when I was a kid,
BB guns.
When I was a kid, we used to raid neighbors' yards, their gardens, or also their crabapple trees, because some of them had really good crab apples, and they would load their shot. They'd take the BBs out of their shotgun. Some of those fuckers would forget one BB, which was problematic, and they'd put salt in there instead, and they would shoot you in the back with the salt.
Oh, that sounds painful.
That really hurts. They never got me, but I got a friend who got, and he suffered a bit from that. Yeah, it's painful. It doesn't kill you; it just gets your attention.
It's salt that makes wounds. Like they say, they put salt in your wounds that makes it hurt more.
Yeah.
And it's also good for wounds.
We used to do something really fun with shotguns. With like you take a 12 gauge shotgun shell, and you go take your thumbnail and go from the brass downward, one thumbnail length, right? And then you cut it in half, and you'll cut into the wax right between the powder and the BBs. And then you put the BBs in your gun, and then you put the powder behind it so that the shell
I'm
is
sorry,
separated.
Speed. Every time you say powder, coming from you, I think of something completely different.
Cocaine. I know where you went. Okay. Gunpowder. Anyway, so you put it in your shotgun like that, and you shoot it, and the BBs stay together. But what's cool is they kind of stay together, so it's like a meat grinder. So they put this jagged hole in something, but it's like a slug, so it all stays together, and it whistles. If you shoot it across a field, it'll just make this noise, and it's just absolutely cool. And it will blow a coffee can into pieces, like fragment it, you know? It's just really awesome. But my friend did it too many times with his shotgun, and the fucking thing blew up on him. And he got hurt. He died. He's dead. But anyway, it was funny.
Wait, did he die because of that?
It was funny. It's like, Rodney's dead. Funny.
Reminds me of Kenny from South Park. Oh my God, you killed Kenny.
Killed Kenny.
Rodney. Yeah. Rodney was a character that was in, I think, 26 car accidents. One of them, he got run over and he actually got paralyzed, but he finally died of an overdose at 48. But we expected him from his first car accident was at like 12 or 13 years old.
My God.
And he hit the side of an ore dump. They were out stealing gas. He was out with some dude. And he hit the side of an ore dump at about 50 miles an hour, and he went for it, and he hit the glove box, and he dented the glove box with his face. And his face was all deformed, and we were just he was a really good looking guy, except he had a hump on his nose, and that was the only thing wrong with his face entirely, right? And we were just like, oh my God, Rodney, you know, he deformed himself. He's fucked for the rest of his life, right? Well, the fucker healed, except he no longer had a bump on his nose, so he was even more perfect than before. And then he went on and had like 20 more car accidents that all should have been fatal, and some of them were fatal for some other
like
people.
A cockroach.
He was like
He
a fucking
survived.
cockroach. And he was in a wheelchair, and he, you know, and for like 20 years, he ran this business he called the M&M Bait Shop. And the M&M Bait Shop was minnows and marijuana. So he would sell minnows and marijuana out of his house. He was a character.
What a life.
Yeah.
How old was he when he died?
48. 48. And we were really surprised that he made it that long. But then when he died, it was like, holy fuck, you can kill those things. Didn't believe it. Yeah, I felt really bad. He was a really, really close growing up. I have Rodney stories that just go on and on and on. He was a character. He ran out on his wife. We estimate anywhere from 100 to 200 times.
Oh
His
my
wife
God.
absolutely refused to believe it. Until finally she divorced him when he was about 40. She finally divorced him, but he was a kid. But then he was in a wheelchair and he had no feeling from the belly button down, and so he couldn't feel it when he had sex, right? And he still kept running out on her. In fact, he got some girl pregnant. And like, why are you running out on your wife when you can't even feel sex? I mean, it just didn't make any sense.
That is crazy. So he was cheating on his wife. And do you think the other girls knew about his wife, that he was having an affair?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, hell yeah.
What?
Hell yeah. Yeah, it was pretty
They need to make a movie on this guy.
Oh, he needs a movie. He would be excellent. I don't know who would play him. I don't know. I'm thinking, God damn, Mel Gibson. No, somebody better looking. I'm not sure. Anyway.
Someone less problematic.
Less problem. Yeah, well, yeah, Mel is problematic, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He was really drunk and he was on the phone and they taped something and he was doing some shitty stuff, right? Is that what happened with Mel?
There's been a few things, I think. I know that was one of them.
Well, I think his daughter recorded him.
Yeah.
Saying stuff to her.
Well, he's obviously
Mel Gibson.
alcoholic.
Mel Gibson's in a new movie soon, coming out.
Really?
Yep.
He's in this one movie. I haven't watched it, but where he plays like an old rugged Santa Claus. but it looks like a John Wick meets Santa Claus type of movie.
Oh, is that?
It's called The Fat Man.
Yeah, somebody killed his reindeer.
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
I don't think that was that good.
I never saw it. It looked.
I expected
it
a
looked
lot
like a
from it.
good time.
He's actually been in a lot of movies since he quote unquote was
yeah, he has
banned
been.
from Hollywood. So he's not banned anymore. They forgave him.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're going to shoot her in the head, and I'll put John's description in the link, but go over and watch that tonight. So, what do you think? Shoot her?
I think that's a good idea.
Yep. Okay, guys.
Stay curious.
Yep. And goodbye, cruel world.
Bye.